Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Autodrom Most. We are here with ESETCup series and we are continuing with our Saturday racing program. Coming up next after the GT Sprint and the Eastern European TCR race number 1 is the first race of the Formula 4 Central European Zone. Cars lined up on the starting grid. Unfortunately, we do not have all the cars that entered this round on the grid together with us, because we had a serious accident during yesterday. There was a big crash in the middle part of the track right after the turn number 7, and unfortunately we have two drivers that cannot attend not only this race but of course even the race tomorrow. And we have a very important message right at the beginning now that we would like to send. Anyway, there was a big crash with including Theodor Borenstein and František Halatník. Theodor spun his car and got stranded in the middle of the road, and František hit him at full speed. Both of them had to be taken to hospital, and František even had to undergo a lengthy surgery. Fortunately, both drivers are now in stable condition. We are still awaiting further updates and hoping for positive news. And guys, maybe if you are directly watching, this is the entire crew, all of your racing mates, your colleagues, all of the team crews, all of the crew from Autodrom Most, the entire paddock, believe it, thinks about you, and we all want to wish you a speedy but most importantly full recovery. We know that you would love to be rather on the grid here getting ready for the race, but have some rest, do not rush it unnecessarily, and we really hope that we can see each other before too long. So the rest of the pack on the starting grid, and we have got them lined up for the formation lap here at Autodrom Most, 4.2 kilometer racetrack. We've got 10 cars left currently, and it is on pole position the local driver, and it's actually complete Czech front row, Miroslav Mikeš on pole position. Alongside him, Max Karhan. Behind them, Oskar Wurz, son of a former Formula 1 driver, Alex Wurz, of course. Before that's Kirill Kutskov. There was a tiny little bit of an issue and a tiny little bit of a problem leaving the grid for Max Karhan, but we have got in the end two cars that have troubles leaving the grid. That is now car number 14, Jean-Paul Carras. He's trying to get away from the grid, but not successfully, even at the second attempt. Let me finish the grid before that. It's Philippe Armand Carras in P5, and then alongside Jean-Paul Carras. These two drivers were left on the grid now. All of the drivers finally on the formation lap. This will mean that Jean-Paul might need to be asked to start the race from the back of the grid and not return to his 6th position. Michalina Sabaj in 7th from Marek Mičík in P8. Kornelia Olkucká in 9th. And alongside her on row number 5, Michelle Jandová. She decided that doing just Formula 4 isn't enough for her this weekend, and she has also entered the Renault Twingo Cup round, having a blast, having fun in that championship. So we are going to see her later on this weekend, not today actually, because the only thing that Renault Twingo Cup has on program for today's action is a qualifying a little later on, but we'll see both of the races for Twingo Cup during tomorrow's program. So there were issues and a little scare. For the team GRT. Both drivers left stranded on the grid. In the end, both managed to get going again. Also, Max Karhan took a little bit of time, leaving his second spot on the front row. We've got yellow flags being waved on the outside of the last corner, which might just be a simple part of the pre-start procedure. Cars getting back onto the starting grid. There is Jean-Paul Carras, who will actually not be able to get back to his 6th place, I assume, as is the normal proceeding in such situation. But Jean-Paul is actually retaking his 6th spot on the grid. Okay, let's see if the stewards do not want to have a look at that as well. Never mind that. We're going to start the race with that anyway, as the red lights come on here in Most. The red lights are on and we are racing. Slow getaway from Max Karhan. On the other hand, from pole position, Miroslav Mikeš, good getaway, immediately taking the lead of the race. Max Karhan slotting in from 2nd now, has to defend hard. Oscar Wirtz in that white, green, black car, fighting for 3rd, fighting for 2nd. There is also Kirill Kutskov in that yellow and white car, taking a fight from 4th on the grid. And now Miroslav Mikeš defending hard. Max Karhan in the fight for 2nd, holding on to that place. He didn't have the best of starts, but very, very skillful execution of the opening corners has helped him back to his 2nd position. So it's still check 1-2 currently. Halfway through the opening lap of the race, we have got Oscar Wirtz in 3rd from Kirill Kutskov. Then it should be Philippe Armand Cara in P5, one of the 2 French drivers. You can hear the tires squealing as the drivers torture them to the edge of grip in various places. Miroslav Mikeš in the lead from Max Karhan. Oscar Wirtz in 3rd from Kirill Kutskov. Philippe Armand Cara in 5th. Michalina Sabaj managed to move herself up to 6th from Marek Mičík. He's also gained a place. Kornelia Olkutská in 8th from Michelle Jandová. And Jean-Paul Cara had still trouble and dropped down to 10th. This is a nasty situation for Marek Mičík. He understeered out of the final corner, and because the ground clearance of these Formula 4 cars is really very low, then hitting the curbs is a very bumpy experience, and Marek Mičík was actually shot up in the air. So hopefully no further dramas for the Czech driver. That's also not a very nice thing to experience, airborne accidents, because make no mistake, the race seats in the single-seaters, they are no comfy armchairs. It's a really hard seat that is designed for you to have the best feeling you can possibly have as a racing driver, because, as you know, racing drivers have a hidden 6th sense. They have to feel the car pretty much with their bottom. So the racing driver's bottom is actually a very, very important part of the experience, and you've got to feel absolutely everything to be in one, to be completely connected to the car, and to be able to drive it absolutely on the edge. But of course that means that if you get airborne and then hitting the ground back, then you are risking at least a bruise, hopefully not an injury. We've had too much of them for the weekend already. Max Karhan overshooting the first corner a little bit, which misaligns him for the second part of the chicane. This is not going to be the fastest way around the lap. Max Karhan, as usual, his team bringing a simulator to the racing circuit. So practicing, even outside the car. is the second season for the Czech driver, who's been definitely improving his performances, and he has already managed to score a victory earlier on. So the Czech Republic had a Formula 4 winner after a long time. If we check the standings, it is this guy, Oscar Wirtz, currently leading the championship with quite some margin. And the young Austrian already has got 170 points to his name. Kirill Kuckov in second with 103. So we're losing 67. Max Karhan again very late on the brakes, very nearly collected. Miroslav Mikeš. Fortunately, they managed to avoid one another, or rather, Max managed to avoid Mira. Max Karhan currently sitting third in the standings with 74 points. Miroslav Mikeš further 6 points down the order with 68. And we've got various different names that appeared and left during this year's championship. So we've had 25 drivers in total already entering various rounds of the season. Some of them for only one weekend, some of them for two. But some of them, of course, contesting the entire season. We've got 3 races per race weekend. At Balaton Park, it was Oscar Wirtz dominating the proceedings for the opening 2 races. Then it was Kirill Kuckov scoring a victory in race number 3. Then the championship moved to Austria, to the Red Bull Ring, and it was first Andrej Petrovic taking a victory in race number 1, then Maximilian Popov in race number 2, and Kamal Mrat in race number 3. Then we raced in Slovakia the last time out, and it was further 2 victories for Oscar Wirtz. And the first one for Max Karhan, so he is the latest race winner in this championship, now fighting for another one on his home soil. There will be one more home round for them, as in the beginning of September the championship is continuing in Brno at Masaryk Racing Circuit, and after that it will still not be enough, and the entire championship will move back to Austria for the final round at the very, very interesting track of Salzburg Ring. Miroslav Mikeš. He is still yet to score a victory this season, so he's in a perfect position to do so. But of course, he still has 17 minutes left of quite some pressure from his rivals that he, of course, has to withstand. We have had 6 different winners in 2024. So if we get to see a 7th different one, we will get on par with current season of Formula 1 with the number of different winners within one season. That is definitely a lot, showing how exciting the championship has been so far in its first half. Still about half a second between the race leaders. Of course, Oscar Wirtz also very close indeed. By the way, his older brother contesting the Formula 3 championship that is part of the Formula One weekends. And of course his dad, not only actually having commentators' duties during certain weekends, so we've seen each other on occasions around commentary booths, but he's also a driver's manager, so helping to mentor and support certain drivers, so he can also be seen, of course, in the junior paddock, not only visiting his own son Charlie. Another lap, another opportunity. Miroslav Mikeš. Miroslav Mikeš currently flawless in his performance, in his defense of the first position. And the top trio still within 1 second as we are reaching the halfway mark of the race. So it's still incredibly closely fought. Let's also check the live timing screen, because I believe Kirill Kutskov has been very, very slowly but getting in touch with the leading pack. Last time, wow, it's so close. I mean, listen to this. Miroslav Mikeš, 1:34.923. Max Karhan, 1:34.910. Oscar Wirtz, 1:34.907. That's lap times within 200ths of a second. But then, Kirill Kutskov, 1:34.7. So he reduced that gap by another 0.2 of a second. So very slightly, but steadily gets closer and closer to the top trio. So very soon indeed we might have a fight among a top four for the race win, and of course for all the podium finishes, podium finishing positions. This is the technical section of the track. Very, very important to find the right racing line. You've got to keep it as much on the left side as you possibly can for that quick right-hander that leads to this well, not exactly a straight, but a section of the track that you take flat out, and then you've got the pair of final right-handers. And with this beautiful drone view, you can actually see how the drivers make their way around this track in the second part of it. (4,212 meters of the Czech tarmac. Is a very beautiful layout, it needs to be said, with the chicane right at the beginning of the lap, and then very unusual sequence of corners that you won't really find at many other circuits. Here this is a hard-braking spot, and then a series of S's, and then a hairpin. At first sight might actually even be a little weird combination of corners, but it's really difficult to find a proper racing line. There's definitely more usable approaches, and you've got to find the best one still on the edge of tire grip, going slightly sideways with these junior single-seaters. It's the Tatus T421, the latest generation of Formula 4 cars, up to current safety standards, also with the halo structure above the driver's head, and of course the safety standards playing their key role in the yesterday's crash that honestly could have been way worse. I mean, long time ago, but these days the cars are really very much different. But still, motorsport is simply dangerous. That needs to be kept in mind. You can still hear the tire squeal from the ambient microphones. Of course, the car's not very fast and also not very loud. So you hear a lot of other noises that you wouldn't probably normally hear from, say, Formula One cars. Although these days it's also a different experience. We have 8.5 minutes left in this race. Kirill Kutskov has really got himself closer to the fight for the race victory. Still not close enough. It's still a high pressure situation because all of these guys are really trying to do their best and not make any mistakes. Every slight slip, every time you're basically going rather sideways than straight ahead, you're potentially losing speed and also overworking your tires. So you're basically trying to learn the best racing line possible. For these guys, it's their first single-seater experience before they proceed to further layers of motorsport on the motorsport ladder. You can go to Formula Regional, then Formula 3, Formula 2, Formula 1, of course, which would be everybody's dream. And as you progress, you learn new things, how to work with the tires, with the teams, do pit stops, etc. But this is the very basic level. None of that is here. Ooh, puncture, right rear puncture. And that will be car number 119. That is Kornelia Olkutska. She punctured her right rear tire, and maybe this also has something to do with that. This is another driver missing the front wing. That's the car number 77, Marek Michik. And these two were close to one another, so I presume there must have been some sort of contact that clipped the front wing off the car number 77, that's Marek Michik, and then punctured the tire on the car of Kornelia Olkutska. Marek, this is also a very interesting sight, needs to be said, because I was mentioning this is the very basic level of motorsport, very basic level of single-seater racing. So yes, these cars do have front and rear wings, but they do not generate a whole lot of downforce. So if you lose the wing, it's not so much of a loss as you would see, for example, on a Formula 1 car, of course. Then you would see the car locking up dramatically. Max Karhan lining up for a move, showing himself in Mikesh's rearview mirrors. Mikesh has not really been using the best line lately. He's still dropping the car a little bit off the line here and there, and that's just reducing his speed through the corners, overworking the tires a tiny little bit more than he would need to. But Max Karhan, much cleaner line, pretty much everywhere now, and he's really getting perilously close to actually launch an attack. It's very hard here in the middle part of the track. Through the quick right-hander of turn 7 we go. Let's see what happened here. It was indeed a contact between Marek Micik and Kornelia Olkucka that did exactly what we saw as effects on the respective two cars. There we go through this snaky bit of track to the back part, to that back sort of cornered straight. And now through the final two right-handers. This will get difficult for Miroslav Mikeš. He's under huge pressure. Max Karhan trying to line up as good as possible for the slipstream. It's not so strong. He's not close enough. He might have another look just to unnerve Mikeš. And again, Mikeš leaving it very deep into the corner, but then he realigns his car for the left-hander and actually makes a rather nice exit of the chicane. But this time, Max Karhan still slightly better, and he's right on the tail of Miroslav Mikeš, trying to find his way past. But there the track is sort of always turning away from you, so it's quite hard to actually find another racing line alongside the car ahead of you. Through the hairpin. Max also needs to keep an eye on his rearview mirrors because they are full of Oscar Wirtz. He's very close indeed, ready to pounce. And we've also got Kirill Kutskov not far back. He's definitely caught up with this group and is ready to capitalize on any troubles that might come for any of the cars ahead. Now a slight mistake from Kutskov. You saw a slight plume of smoke pouring off the front right tire as he locked up. 3 minutes left. We still have a couple of laps, and by a couple I indeed mean a couple. That's all we will have time for in the remaining part of the race. So final 2 laps here. Across the line we go onto the penultimate tour of Autodrom Most. So we are about 8.5 kilometers away from home right now. Mikeš still not the best line through the opening right-hander, but he's actually doing it in a nice and smart way because he's leaving the braking for a latest possible moment. He sort of sells the corner entry and he finds himself out of position in the middle part of the chicane, but then he switches back quite aggressively and realigns the car for the left part of the chicane to have the best possible exit, which is working quite nicely. Max was really close on the previous lap, not so close this time around. And what's most important for Miroslav Micik, he knows that this might work. This is the way to go, and he's only got to do it, I would say, 1.5 more times now. One minute left. This is the final lap of race number 1 of the Central European Formula 4. This time it may have been a little way too deep for Miroslav Mikeš. How about the exit? Max Karhan lines up, slots in right behind, tries to use the slipstream, but this isn't the best place to overtake. This is not going to work. Now through the twisty bit, where it's really hard to actually find your way through. Miroslav Mikeš not putting a foot wrong. Absolutely not giving any unnecessary opportunities. Critical quick right-hander, and onto the final part of the track. There we go. This is a very important sequence of corners. There's basically one further opportunity for Max Karhan. If he wants to do something, he has to do it in the following corner of the right-hander, the penultimate corner of the track. But he's too far away. This is not going to work. This is starting to finally look really good for Miroslav Mikeš. He's withstood an incredible pressure all race long, and now he's only got one corner left. Ladies and gentlemen, it is happening. It is a 7th different winner in 2024, and his name is Miroslav Mikeš, scoring a victory on his home soil in front of the home fans here at Autodrom Most. Miroslav Mikeš taking a beautiful victory after a really nice drive in this race. He's not been perfect in his racing line in all corners, but every opportunity that he gave his opponents, he managed to defend. It's been a long race, it's been a difficult race, but he can now write his name on the list of winners in 2024, Miroslav Mikeš. And it is a Czech 1-2 here at Autodrom Most. Max Karhan coming home second from Oscar Wirtz and Kirill Kutskov. Aren't these two still driving flat out? It looks as though Kirill Kutskov and Oscar Wirtz have not really slowed down. The race is over, guys. Philippe Armand Cara in P5, Michalina Sabai already across the line in 6th. Jean-Paul Cara, after the trouble at the beginning of the race, in 7th. Michel Jandová will come home 8th. And Kornelia Olkutská finished in 9th, with Marek Micík retiring the car in the end after the contact in the later stages of the race. It was a nice race. You might say it wasn't that eventful, but sometimes the drama is really hidden in the pressure that you're having to deal with. And at the same time, hats off to Miroslav Mikeš that he actually didn't allow his opponents into any serious opportunity. They were very close all through the race, and yeah, if you're leading the race and you are under pressure, you want to make the race as boring as possible. So don't want to say the race was boring, but Miroslav Mikeš really didn't put the foot wrong, and as a result he is rewarded with his first victory of 2024. Max Karhan second, Oscar Wirtz will complete the podium in 3rd. So that's it for the first Formula 4 race here in Most. We will continue shortly with the Renault Clio Cup race, so make sure that you are back for that.